So for an introduction, we're shown the combat prowess of the S rankers, help us catch a glimpse of the peak of the combat capabilities of this universe. In this anime, we get the typical MMORPG elements, except here, you don't get isekai. The isekai comes to you. That's why this bootylicious of a babe is capable of using her moves on the civilians in the city. Next we jump into the perspective of the lower tier hunters, including our MC. Here we see they're on the verge of obliteration after accidentally stumbling into a trap room in a dungeon. So they survive the obliteration, but is then stuck playing a puzzle game with the boss. In the process of it, some were killed, some managed to escape. Our MC didn't want the girl who sincerely cares for him to die in this dungeon, so he had the party leader knock her out, and brought her out, while he stayed behind. What MC went through next can only be described as brutal. Dude was literally a blood fountain, gushing out blood beyond bio. Just as he was 0.02 seconds from dying, he accidentally triggered a secret quest. So MC survived and has successfully became a player. His first quest was Saitama level training, which he failed to complete, and is now stuck playing a 4-hour survival game with some giant desert centipede. Survived in the nick of time, been keeping his training consistent ever since. Now that he felt he's strong enough, he plans on using the key he got from a loot box to enter an instant dungeon. In there he was welcomed by goblins, which he managed to barely dispatch of. Not sure about this steel fang lichen that just popped out behind him though. So MC learned how to use the inventory, took out a longsword and slayed the lichen. There onwards, it was a grind fest. He ended up massacring mob after mob until all their names turned white. When he hit level 15, he felt he was strong enough to take on the dungeon boss, but ended up getting swat around for the first half of the fight. Eventually his inner monster awakened. He dropped his weapon and fought the boss barehanded. Funnily enough, he ended up strangling the boss to its death. As he left the dungeon, he even helped with some low rankers deal with a dungeon break. So MC joined a temporary party as a carrier. He'll be paid 1.5k just for carrying their baggage. The team were veteran C rankers who have been working together for a while. Great teamwork, great coordination, tank taunts all the mobs, mage channels for an AoE while the others keep him safe. With that they easily reach the boss room, but they didn't want to share the loots with MC, so they trapped him in the boss room. Little they know, on paper, MC is an E ranker. In actuality, he's a badass solo leveler. So fight between the C-ranked spider boss and our MC has begun. After some struggle he managed to stab the boss in the eye. He stacked some status ailments on it and it eventually gave in. Accidentally subjugated Rich Boy here too. The asswipes then returned to steal the loot. Tried to kill our MC in the process. Triggered a mandatory quest. Now MC has no choice but to kill these asswipes. Everyone got dropped pretty easily. Leader tried retaliating a little, but started bitching about who his brother was after taking the lost. Got silenced after that. So leader of the asswipe wasn't kidding. His younger brother was a big shot, an S ranker in the States who now seeks revenge on MC. MC, after doubling his daily quest, received a key for an S-ranked dungeon. There he was engaged in combat with its guard dog, Cerberus. He was of no match, but cause he dropped his escape stone, he has no choice but to suck it up. Eventually MC was on the verge of dying with his entire body getting chewed on. However, he found the winning formula against stronger opponents, and that's by stabbing them in the eye. So the S rankers we saw in the first episode, they actually failed to clear the dungeon. Megane here intends to gather people and raid it once more, also to avenge their fallen comrades. MC receives a text from the association to participate in a D-ranked dungeon. Saw many familiar faces on site. All those who survived the double dungeon were gathered here, but due to a lack of hunters, the association decides to send 3 C-ranked convicts, accompanied by a B-ranked overseer, though this overseer is suspiciously observant of our MC. So the overseer is here murdering the convicts, requested by their victim's father, after they raped his daughter. Next was silencing all the witnesses, starting with Old Man Song, managed to held his ground for a bit, but was eventually overwhelmed by the strength difference. MC and the overseer were very similar in terms of stats, but the overseer managed to one-up MC with his stealth skill. Unfortunately, the stealth doesn't mask his bloodlust, and was eventually overcame by MC's murderous intent, ran his dagger into his chest and proceeds to solo the dungeon. So Rich Boy bought out many C-ranked dungeons and put together a strike team, 1 for helping MC to level up, 2 for himself to hit the prerequisite to be a guild master. MC focuses on just killing mobs and experimenting with his new skills while Rich Boy does the looting and mining for him. Rest of the party just waits outside. An admin from the White Tiger Guild accidentally came across MC's info and believed that he might have reawakened. After seeing he's capable of soloing C-ranked dungeons, he was more certain of this fact, made his approach that night. However, poor dude got threatened and was scammed 450k. So MC accepted the job advancement quest and is now clearing his way into the boss room by ripping heads. Boss Igris easily fended off MC's attacks with minimal effort. Even when he did take a hit, it did him nothing. Switching to fist fight didn't give MC an advantage either. Got back to a wall and then got buried into it. MC gave himself a speed buff, but Igris was still having the upper hand with his vast combat experience. Although MC did land a kick on Igris, he got thrashed even harder. Igris calls forth his blade and was ready to end MC. MC stopped it and summoned his dagger for a familiar eye-stabbing routine. Had his crosshair position on the head and spammed Fatal Strike on it like mad before he could catch his breath. Numerous portals popped up, a chuckload of knights spawned and stormed his ass. Meanwhile, Megane has assembled a party to do some scouting on Jeju Island. So MC is holding his ground against the endless waves of knights, but being unable to use potions and level up, his fatigue continues to build, causing his performance to plummet. A large knight eventually got him subdued. Just before he got beheaded, his daily quest expires and teleported his ass into the penalty zone. There he feverishly violated all the centipedes and leveled himself up back to max health, bought a night killer afterwards and returned to sweep them knights. MC eventually realizes there were mages around responsible for the summoning of these knights, took down the first mage with a flying dagger, pulled one in with his new skill for an execution, went stealth mode and assassinated the rest. The remaining knights integrated into a giant knight to pulverize MC, but only got themselves dead. MC was awarded with a necromancer job and was immediately promoted to a shadow monarch, obtained the shadow extraction skill, successfully extracted Igris after some emotive speech, filled the remaining slots with some knights and mages, and thus his shadow legion was formed. Meanwhile, the scout party while en route to Jeju Island found a carcass of an evolved ant.